What's up, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Deep Dives. When you hear the name Green Lantern, you probably think of Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, or Kyle Rayner. But before the Green Lantern Corps, before OA, there was one who came first. This is the story of Alan Scott, the Golden Age Green Lantern. And as always, a Kilowog-sized shout-out to our friend and community member, Supertron, for venturing into the blackest night to bring Scott's history into the brightest day. Created by American artist Martin Nodell, Alan Scott's Green Lantern didn't spring fully formed from a page. Nodell drew inspiration from multiple sources. The sweeping drama of Richard Wagner's opera cycle, The Ring of the Nibelung, and the simple sight of a trainman's green railway lantern. He wanted a hero who wielded magical powers from a ring that drew energy from a glowing green lantern. Nodell also envisioned a costume that would be colorful and striking, borrowing elements from Greek mythology to give Scott a sense of larger-than-life heroism. This blend of opera, folklore, and everyday life became the foundation for what would become one of DC's first superheroes. Our story begins aboard a speeding train. Alan Scott, an engineer and everyman, becomes the sole survivor of a devastating train crash. From the wreckage, he discovers something impossible, a glowing green lantern, pulsing with otherworldly energy, and a voice that calls out to him. From deep within the light, the lantern speaks, revealing that Scott is the third soul ever to become in contact with its power. Guided by the mysterious force within, Scott removes a fragment of the lantern and forges it into a ring, the conduit through which he'll channel his might. Like other lanterns, Alan's power ring must be recharged every 24 hours. However, unlike the yellow impurity that would one day plague the Green Lantern Corps, the Starheart, or Green Flame of Light, has only one weakness: wood. Donning his now iconic red, green, and purple costume, Alan Scott became something new, the very first Green Lantern. Alan Scott wasn't alone for long. Like many Golden Age heroes, he gained a sidekick: Doiby Dickles, a quick-witted Irishman. No superpowers, but plenty of skill behind the wheel and in a fight. Quick-witted and fearless, Doiby became Scott's steadfast partner, often turning the tide in adventures where superpowers alone couldn't solve. Doiby was more than comic relief. He was a loyal companion, helping Green Lantern navigate danger and proving that courage and cleverness can be just as heroic as magic. And in 1944, out of the pages of All-American Comics number 61, Scott faced his deadliest enemy yet: the undead menace, Solomon Grundy. In their first encounter, Green Lantern nearly died when he discovered that Grundy was immune to his ring's power. It took a desperate move and a speeding train to finally bring the creature down. But Grundy never stayed buried. Time and time again, he returned, forcing Scott to trap him in petrified wood, leave him stranded on the moon, or bury him deep beneath the earth. And yet, each time, the monster eventually broke free, ready to terrorize Green Lantern and the Justice Society once more. In a later encounter, Grundy even lured Scott into a radioactive trap, briefly transforming the hero into a life form not unlike the undead menace himself. Only the intervention of Dr. Fate restored Scott to his true self. While Solomon Grundy tested Scott's courage and wits, Alan's story wasn't confined to battling monsters alone. Like Gotham's own Caped Crusader, he was deeply tied to the city and to the heroes who would one day define it. Active in Gotham City, Alan Scott became a beloved figure, a symbol of hope in a city that would one day give rise to the Batman. His feats were remembered so fondly that the city honored him as a hero of legend. Even a young Thomas Wayne looked up to him. keeping photographs of Scott as a Junior Lantern inspiration in Wayne Manor. His heroics made him a household name, both in and out of costume. After a conversation with FDR, Scott pursued a career in radio broadcasting, eventually becoming president of Gotham Broadcasting. Beyond Gotham, Scott was a founding member of the Justice Society of America, one of the first superhero teams in comic book history and the precursor to the modern-day Justice League of America. He fought alongside other iconic Golden Age heroes, helping to shape the very foundation of superhero teamwork, a role he carried through decades of adventures. The Justice Society was active throughout the 1940s, but formally disbanded in 1951 following political pressure from the House Committee on Un-American Activities for the heroes to divulge their secret identities. Years later, a new menace, the Reaper, appeared in Gotham, forcing Scott out of retirement for one final battle. Though he nearly defeated the killer, the Reaper escaped, vanishing into legend. As the Silver Age dawned, new heroes emerged, Superman and Batman among them. Scott and the rest of the JSA came out of retirement time and time again to aid the next era of heroes, facing both old foes and new threats. Whenever the call came, Scott answered, later adopting the mantle of Sentinel, guiding and fighting alongside the heroes who followed in his light. But the story of the original Green Lantern didn't stay confined to one city, or even one Earth. As DC's multiverse expanded, Alan Scott's adventures began to intersect with heroes from other worlds, setting the stage for a legacy that would stretch across realities and generations. Pre-Crisis, Alan Scott lived on Earth 2, while Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern most fans know today, hailed from Earth 1. Over the years, these two lanterns would team up on several occasions, bridging their worlds through multiverse crossovers. During these adventures, Scott also encountered the Guardians of the Universe, the mysterious beings who oversee Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. Though his powers came from the Starheart rather than the Corps' central power battery, these meetings began to tie Alan's magic to the same cosmic forces that powered the Corps. The Starheart itself would later reveal to Alan that the Guardians had forged it, a fragment of pure cosmic energy, linking his magic to the same source as the Lanterns' light. This retcon further connected Alan to the larger tapestry of DC's heroes. Scott's legacy didn't end with him. On Earth 2, he discovered he had two children, Jade and Obsidian, who carried on the mantle of heroism as members of Infinity Inc., successors to the Justice Society. His battle with the villain Thorn revealed their parentage and cemented his bond with his family. But even family ties couldn't shield him from what came next. When Crisis on Infinite Earth struck, the multiverses collapsed, and with it, the boundaries between Earth 1 and Earth 2 were erased. Alan Scott's history was retconned into a single universe, alongside Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. To make the new continuity work, DC reimagined the source of his power. Thousands of years earlier, a rogue Green Lantern named Yalan Gur had abused his ring's power. As punishment, the Guardians made it vulnerable to wood. When Gur fell, his energy battery crashed to Earth, becoming the meteorite that forged Scott's ring. Though Alan was now part of a shared universe, time had not been kind. Years of battle and the weight of history left him older, slower, and questioning his place among newer heroes. But destiny wasn't done with him yet. The Starheart, the living energy within his lantern, merged with Alan, restoring his youth and expanding his powers to beyond the ring. Taking on the name Sentinel, Scott became more than a Green Lantern, a true guardian of magic itself. As Sentinel, he continued to lead and inspire a new genesis of heroes through the reformed Justice Society of America, proving that even as the world changed, the first Green Lantern's light still burned bright. Alan Scott's legacy has lived on far beyond the pages of comic books. His character and his influence have appeared across animation, live action, and even alternate timelines in DC's vast multiverse of media. In early development for the Justice League animated series, Scott was originally slated to appear in the episode Legends as himself. However, DC requested changes, and the character was reinterpreted as Scott Mason, the Green Guardsman, a respectful homage to the Golden Age hero. Scott's influence also shines through Elseworlds tales like Kingdom Come, where an elderly Alan dons an armored suit to continue the fight, still wielding the power of the Starheart even in his twilight years. More recently, new takes on Alan Scott have appeared across modern comics and on screen, from DC's Stargirl series to upcoming Green Lantern projects, introducing the original Lantern to a whole new age of fans. Every era redefines him, yet his story always returns to the same truth, that willpower endures. Whether you know him as Sentinel or as the Green Lantern, through every retelling, Alan Scott remains the same at his core, a symbol of resilience and light against the darkness. The first Lantern, whose flame still burns even when all others fade. If today's video has piqued your curiosity and you'd like to explore further into Alan Scott's history, we've left a recommended reading list down in the description. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, we'd appreciate it if you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. So with all that said, thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this look at the history of the original Green Lantern. Be sure to join us for another episode of Deep Dives, and until next time, keep reading, keep exploring, and as always, happy hunting, everyone.